everyone. Education is not filling of a pail, but the lighting of fire. Today, this faculty development program aims to ignite that fire within us all.
Sri Kaliswari College, a premier institution in the state of Tamil Nadu, is proud to announce that it has recently been accredited with an A+ in its 4th cycle of NAC accreditation. With great pride, we extend a warm welcome to our esteemed and revered Chief Guest, Dr. Irai Anbu, former Chief Secretary of the State, our respected Principal, Dr. P.K. Balamurugan sir, former Principal, Dr. S. Krishnamurthy sir, distinguished Vice Principal Ma'am, Miss R. Muthulakshmi Madam, and Honorary Consultant of our college, Mr. T. Murali sir, and our beloved teaching faculty.
Let's begin our event with Tamil Thai Vaathu, a tribute to our beloved Mother Tamil.
Thank you. Please be seated.
Every new beginning starts with a smile and a warm welcome. May I invite Mrs. L. Priya, IQAC Coordinator, to formally welcome the gathering.
Good morning, good afternoon to all. Our beloved Principal, Dr. B.K. Balamurugan sir, our former Principal, Dr. S. Krishnamurthy sir, the most respected today's Chief Guest, Dr. Irai Anbu sir, Vice Principal Ma'am, Senior Professors, Heads of the Department, my dear staff members and colleagues, good afternoon to all. It's my immense pleasure in welcoming you all for the first FDP after receiving an academic excellence of A+ grade with a 3.41 CGPA. I wholeheartedly welcome our Principal sir, a true leader who guides us and directs all of us in all our initiatives in the right direction. Welcome you sir. It's my duty to welcome our former Principal, Dr. Krishnamurthy sir, who is a perfect mentor, supports and regulates us to achieve our goals. Welcome you sir. Now I take the great pleasure in welcoming our today's Chief Guest, Dr. Irai Anbu sir, the former Chief Secretary, Indian Administrative Service Officer, writer, educator, social activist, motivational speaker. He is graduated in BSc Agri, MA English, MA Labor Management, MBA, PhD in English and a PhD in Business Administration. He is the man who dreams about the success of younger generation, motivating them through his writings and advices. He was born in a middle-class family on September 16, 1963 in Salem. After completing BSc Agri, he joined as an agriculture officer. Later, he joined as an assistant commissioner in Income Tax Department after clearing his UPSC exam for the first time. He cleared the UPSC exams for the second time and joined as an IAS officer. He decided to create awareness among the younger generations regarding UPSC exam, and his series IAS Thervum Anugumurayum gives a massive impact. Continuing his service, he has organized more than 500 awareness programs for the students. His program Kalluri Kalangal, which was telecasted in Podigai TV for 502 days, created an unique identity. He has serviced as additional collector, secretary and as chief secretary in all the parts of our Tamil Nadu. During his service, his contribution to the society is remarkable. He has written more than 167 books in various domains. He also received many awards for his writings. 46 students has done their PhD and MPhil research works on his writings. No doubt, he is a true inspiration for the younger generations. You all might have noted the caption in his webpage www.iraianbu.net, Ilangar Shakti. Yes, let us all welcome the driving force, the Shakti behind the younger mind with a big round of applause. We welcome you, sir. I also like to welcome our honorary consultant, Mr. Murali, sir. I also take the pleasure of welcoming our VP ma'am, HODs, staff members, senior faculties, colleagues, all supporting faculties who all constantly work behind the success for this program. Once again, I welcome you all. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for starting the day with such warmth and enthusiasm.
The foundation of any great achievements lies in a strong beginning. It is my honor to invite our esteemed principal, Dr. P.K. Balamurugan sir, to open up this event with his inspiring presidential address.
Good afternoon to one and all present here. I feel very happy to offer presidential address in this faculty development program organized by IKSC cell of our college. And it's a unique feature of our IKSC to organize FDP during the first week of the semester, every semester. And this is a special FDP by Irai Anbu sir. So we are having at the end of the semester after getting the A+ grade from the NAC. This is the first program. On behalf of our management and my own behalf and our faculty, I express my sincere thanks to Dr. Irai Anbu sir for having accepted our invitation and being with us to share his expertise with our faculty members. I want to recollect my first experience with Irai Anbu sir at his residence in Chennai the last month. And you won't believe, we sat in a library which comprises of more than 10,000 books at his home. It shows how far he is reading the books. More than 10,000 books. We sit in between the book racks. And I hope all of you visited the website of Irai Anbu sir, that is www.iraianbu.net. Everything was in Tamil. And after reading that, we should think how far we should develop ourselves. That being an administrator in the IAS service, and he has completed all his MA Labor Management, MA English, MBA and both PhD in English as well as in Business Administration during his tenure as a administrative service. We are claiming ourselves that we are busy with our regular schedule because we are having teaching as the major work. But sir, in addition to his administrative work, he himself involved in studying number of courses. Because of that, he is the master of almost all the disciplines. MA agriculture based, then MA English, MBA, PhD in English as well as business administration. And of course, we might have read all the books by our Irai Anbu sir. Almost majority of the books are available in our library. One book I referred a lot for Ilakyathil Melanbai by sir, and I reproduced his content in number of occasions where I have been invited to discuss on management. So he is the right person to address our faculty, and we approached sir to develop our students. Sir said first we have to develop our faculty, then automatically they will develop our students. With that intention only we have organized this program. Once again I thank Irai Anbu sir for having accepted invitation and being with us. And I am very happy to be here with Irai Anbu sir's lecture. And I am also thankful for the opportunity given to me to offer presidential address in this nice occasion. Thank you one and all.
Thank you, sir, for your thought-provoking presidential address.
It's my privilege to invite our esteemed guest, a strict disciplinarian, an officer known for his integrity and a multifaceted personality, Dr. V. Irai Anbu, former Chief Secretary of State, to address us today.
போட்டோவுக்கு போஸா போஸ் கொடுக்கறதுனால தான் நிறைய பிரச்சனையே வருது. ஓகே, respected principal, former principal, vice principal, Mrs. Priya, faculty members, and the honorary consultant, my friend, Mr. Murali. I feel very happy to interact with you. This is not a kind of a class or counseling to you. It's just a kind of interaction, just to make a loud thinking about the various avenues that are available to enhance the present student generation, particularly in this difficult time in which they are getting distracted easily and their focus gets diluted within a few seconds. In this context, I would like to narrate my contemplation in a presentation, and you can mull over it and you can ruminate over it, and after that you can decide how you can remodel your classes and classroom sessions and what kind of interventions can make the students more attentive in the class. Okay, next. Education is the knowledge of how to use the whole or oneself. Ultimately, it is not to use the things, but how to make use of ourselves. That is more important. I feel that the most underutilized commodity is the human resource, and it is none else but ourselves. So how to use ourselves? Many men use but one or two faculties. Man has got unlimited potential. There is a Chinese proverb that says that human beings are born with infinite potential, but unfortunately they die with limited potential, limited performance. That's mainly because they don't understand that they have, and they don't use their mental faculties to the fullest extent possible. Okay, next. 3 R's, you know, reading, writing and arithmetics. They are also equally important. The 4 P's are preparation for earning. Whether we prepare the students for earning a livelihood, to make a livelihood. Second one is whether they are prepared to live a life. Why? This question is important. Many a student are not able to have enough emotional intelligence. When they get a failure, they are crestfallen. They either resort to drugs or they commit suicide. We very often come across the students who go astray in their lives. That's mainly because we don't prepare them for living. Then whether they are able to understand the things, understand the people, understand the resources, understand the relations, understand this world. Why people get tensed so fast? Now they have understood, they have found out from the research that if a person is stressed too much, it can lead to cancer. Earlier they were saying that cancer is mainly because of aging process. The tumor suppressing genes in our body get slightly modified and they become ineffective when you age. And now the longevity has increased. Earlier when India obtained independence, the longevity was quite less, around 26 years, 27 years, that's all. Then in 1980s, it was 48 for men and 52 for women. Why women have more longevity? Because they don't smoke, they don't drink. And not only because of that, it's also because they have 2 X chromosomes. And the X chromosome has got thousands of genes. And Y chromosome has got only hundreds of genes. It is said that after some 50,000-60,000 years, men will totally disappear and this classroom will be full of women only. So women dominated society. This is Adam's curse. There is a beautiful book that has been written on this subject, Adam's curse. So you can understand that understanding is one of the important components that are to be taught to the students. Preparation for participation in the problems involved in making a better world. One should not be too selfish. Unfortunately, we know very well that today the present generation is too selfish. They don't even care about their parents. You may be agreeing with this. They are not bothered whether their parents buy loans, borrow or steal. They are not at all worried. They want comforts, and they are also recalcitrant, adamant, obdurate and unyielding. Because of this situation, you know that they don't discuss the problems, they don't participate. For example, in a household, if there is a problem, you will always see that the father is worried and the mother is anxious. But the children are not at all bothered. So this happens because we don't prepare them for such situations and circumstances in life. Ultimately, I am not talking about the faculty members here. The whole education process should aim at it. If they are molded in such a way that they participate in the problems involved in making the better world, you can see a better world today full of song and dance, full of music and joy, full of celebration and enjoyment. How are we going to make this world? That is also a question before us. It cannot be solved in one session, but it is a continuous process. Next. Attributes of education. Ultimately, education is the harmonious development of our faculties. You know very well that certain people have got gifted intelligence. They will be having 160, 170, 180. But in life they will be useless. They will be performing superbly in a particular field, but they will be below the normal levels in the other fields. And in life they will be dismissed as dismal failures. As they have the gifted intelligence in one faculty, they will not be able to move with the fellow students. And in the process, they will become dejected, frustrated and crestfallen. That happens if they are not able to develop all the faculties. So harmonious development of all the faculties is the very purpose of education. It's a lifelong process. Today the younger generation think that getting a degree is enough. After that there is no need to study further. At the most they may study for competitive examinations. If they scrap an examination, after that they don't study at all. Learning is a continuous process, and if we are not going to inculcate this particular truth in the minds of the people for whom we are teaching, their life is going to be a failure. Because today technology is changing very fast, and one has to cope with the technology, one has to cope with the changes. There is a beautiful book, Our Iceberg is Melting. Recently I read that book, in which a penguin discovers that the iceberg in which their colony lives is melting. The other penguins will not agree. They say that your statement is unwanted. No iceberg has so far melted. We are all safe. Finally, it makes them understand that the iceberg is actually melting, and they shift it to a new iceberg. So, it's a long process, a lifelong process. The essence is self-discovery. How many people know about their strength? Do we have a program in which the students are able to have an exercise on self-awareness? What is their strength? Why students fail? Many a time they venture into the areas in which they are not strong. So strength, weakness, opportunity or threat, about their own mental, about their own nature, about their own emotional makeup. How many students will agree that your emotional quotient is not good? They won't agree. If you tell somebody that you are not socially intelligent, how many people can accept? They will not be able to accept. First of all, we would not be able to accept. If you tell me that you are lacking in social intelligence, do you think that I would agree immediately, spontaneously, instantaneously? It is not possible. So, self-discovery and self-control. To discover one's own powers and limitations. What are the limitations? Sometimes students come to me, they would have failed in the 10th standard, in plus 2, they would have scored less marks, and they would come and say, I want to prepare for civil service examination. They don't know the limitations. But I encourage them. I encourage them to prepare so that if they prepare for civil service examination, at least they will get through the group 4 examination. So I encourage them. At least in the process they can acquire some knowledge about our constitution, Indian polity, history, geography and science. Next is make him realize the best possibilities. That's very important. Every individual has got the best possibility as far as his capacity is concerned. For example, you have a hillock in your place. The hillock need not be Himalayas, but even that hillock has its own peak. Similarly, every human being has got its peak. So how to reach the peak? That is the question. Next is to inculcate courage and confidence. That is very important. Many of the students today are defeated. In one attempt, they lose their confidence. If they go for an interview and if they fail, for the first time, they decide that they are not capable of achieving something. They all have the mindset of a fixed mindset. But we encourage them to have a growth mindset. Ultimately, the objective of education is to make a student not have fixed mindset but growth mindset. Okay, next. So Aristotle, of course, Aristotle you know very well. There was a vertical trio in Greece, Socrates, Plato and Aristotle. Socrates never knew how to write or read. He said reading and writing will spoil the generations. Plato, of course, he wrote 1 or 2 books, the most famous being the Republic. Aristotle wrote 170 books. He wrote on poetics, he wrote on politics, he wrote on biology, he wrote on ethics, Nicomachean ethics, he wrote on rhetorics, he wrote on various subjects. That Aristotle is known for his wisdom, and the best thing that the Macedonian king Philip did for his son is to bring him as a tutor for Alexander. So Aristotle was encountered by a lady and she asked, when should we start educating our child? The child was there and Aristotle asked, how old is he? He is 3 years. Then Aristotle said, you have wasted 3 years. Now itself go and start teaching him. You have already wasted 3 years. So teaching starts from the very birth itself and it can continue till the death. I will tell you an example. Mullah Nasruddin always used to say some reason or other for every event. One day when he was walking on the road, someone jumped off a tower to commit suicide. But that person exactly fell on the neck of Mullah Nasruddin and his neck was broken and admitted in the hospital. So somebody came and asked Mullah, you always used to say some reason for every event. What is the reason that you are going to attribute for this kind of accident? Mullah said, generally I thought the people who jump off a tower will get fractures. But now only I understand that even a person who walks calmly on the road will get a fracture. So it is very, very important that we should teach a child right from the birth, and a person should be prepared to learn even at the time of death. I am mentioning this point because the faculty members should think that they should also learn continuously, update themselves, and then only they can make a difference in the lives of the students. Okay, next. A person owes his success to the alma mater. Ultimately, we all were shaped by the college or the school where we studied. If we were in a better environment, definitely we would do better. I realized this when I went to the JNU campus for attending the personality test for UPSC examination. In the JNU campus, the libraries were functioning 24 hours. Every library has got a canteen, so students, when they feel drowsy, they can come out, have a cup of tea, go and study the books. Another important thing is the entire atmosphere is surcharged with the competitive fervor. Every student was preparing for some kind of competitive examination. So if a person goes there, automatically he will also prepare for some competitive examination, either for some international assignment or for UPSC or maybe for some GATE or something of that type, TOEFL, something of that type. So the alma mater matters a lot. It matters, that is why it is alma mater. Okay, next. 4 types of students. So the sponge. There are some students who will absorb everything, the good and the bad. Then you have the funnel. They come to the college only to pass that time. It's a kind of pastime for them to come to the college. The third one is trainer. They will leave all the good things and retain the bad things. Finally, you have the sieve. They will leave out the bad things and keep the good things. So this is the general classification made regarding the teachers in the Western world. Now, there will be some faculty members who are teaching Tamil. They may raise their hands. So they will be feeling very bad that when Nannul is there, why should he quote something from English? Let us see what is being said in Nannul. Next. So முதல் இடை கடை மாணாக்கர்கள். So முதல் தர மாணவர்கள் என்ன அன்னம் மாதிரி இருப்பாங்க. அன்னம் மாதிரி என்ன? அது பால்ல இருக்க தண்ணியை விட்டுட்டு பாலை மட்டுமே குடிக்கும். சரி, பாலே தண்ணி தானே அப்படின்னு கேட்கக்கூடாது. தண்ணி இல்லாத பால் இது, 90% பாலே தண்ணி தான். இதெல்லாம் ஒரு குறியீடு, இதெல்லாம் ரொம்ப சயின்ஸை போட்டு அப்ளை பண்ணக்கூடாது. ஸோ தண்ணியை மட்டும் விட்டு விட்டு பாலை குடிப்பது அன்னம். நல்லதை மட்டும் எடுத்துக்கிறவங்க அன்னம். பசு என்ன பண்ணும்? புல்லை சாப்பிட்டுட்டு பாலை தருது. அது மாதிரி சில நேரங்களில் சாதாரண ஒரு விஷயத்திலிருந்து ஒரு எக்ஸ்ட்ராடினரி திங்கை கொண்டு வரதுக்கு முயற்சி பண்ணுற மாணவர்கள் தான் பசு மாதிரி இருப்பாங்க. அவங்களாம் முதல் தர மாணவர்கள். நடுத்தர மாணவர்கள் எப்படி இருப்பாங்கன்னா மண்ணு மாதிரி. என்ன தண்ணி ஊத்துறீங்களோ அதுதான். நல்ல தண்ணி ஊத்துனா சரி, நல்ல உரம் போட்டால் சரி, மோசமான உரம் போட்டால் அது போயிடும். கிளிகிட்ட போய் சொன்னீங்கன்னா என்ன பண்ணுவாங்க? கிளி ரிப்பீட் பண்ணிக்கிட்டே இருக்கும், நீங்கள் சொன்னதை தான் சொல்லும். அதனால ஒரு கிளி என்ன பண்ணியிருக்குன்னா, கடையில் போயிருக்கான் ஒருத்தன், இது பேசுகிற கிளி 1000 ரூபான்னு சொல்லியிருக்காங்க சந்தையில். போய் பார்த்துட்டு, என்னங்க 1000 ரூபாய் சொல்கிறீங்க, அநியாயமாக இருக்குது, அந்த கிளியை கேட்டு பாருங்க. என்ன கிளி, நீ 1000 ரூபாய் போருமா அப்படின்னு கேட்டுருக்கான். உடனே அவன் இதில் என்ன சந்தேகம் அப்படின்னு இருக்கா அந்த கிளி. ஆஹா, அற்புதமான கிளின்னு வாங்கிட்டு வந்துட்டான். ஆனால் அதுக்கு இது என்ன சந்தேகங்கிற ஒரே ஒரு வார்த்தை தான் தெரியும். என்னென்னமோ கேட்குறா, அது இது என்ன சந்தேகம். இவன் கொஞ்சம் நேரம் கழிச்சு போய், உன்னை போய் வாங்கிட்டு வந்த பாரு, நான் தான் முட்டாள், இதில் என்ன சந்தேகம் அப்படின்னு கிளி. ஸோ அடுத்தது ஓட்டை குடம், அது எதுவும் தங்காது. அதே மாதிரி ஆடு என்ன பண்ணும்? நுனிப்புல்ல தான் மேயும். அது மாதிரி சில பேர் என்னன்னா, அந்த சாட் ஜிபிடியில் படிச்சு போய் எக்ஸாம் எழுதுறவங்களாம் அந்த ஆடு மாதிரியான ஒரு மாணவர்கள். அடுத்தது எருமை என்ன பண்ணும்? நல்ல சுத்தமான தண்ணியை கூட அதை கலக்கி சேராக்கிட்டோம். இவங்க என்ன பண்ணுவாங்கன்னா, இந்த மாணவர்கள் ஆசிரியர்களே குழப்பிடுவாங்க. அவங்க தெளிவாக பாடம் நடத்தினா கூட. எருமை. பன்னாடை என்ன பண்ணும்? கெட்டதை ரீட்டைன் பண்ணிட்டு நல்லதை விட்டுரும். இது நன்னூல்ல அவர் சொல்லக்கூடிய கிளாசிபிகேஷன். நெக்ஸ்ட், ஆசிரியர்கள் எப்படி இருப்பாங்க? அறிவால். அன்பால் கண்கள்ல ஒரு அருள் வெளிப்படணும். இங்க நிறைய பேருக்கு வெளிப்பட்டு இருக்கு. இப்ப பார்க்கறேன். கல்வியால் கல்வியில நல்ல விஷயங்கள் தெரிஞ்சுக்கணும். கருணை இருக்கணும். கனிவு, பண்பு, பழக்கத்தால் பொறுமை இருக்கணும். ஒரே விஷயத்தை 10 முறை நாம பொறுமை ஆசிரியர்களுக்கு உண்டு. ஏன்னா வருஷம் அதே பாடத்தை நடத்துறதே ஒரு பொறுமையான விஷயம் தானே. இன்னமும் நீங்க இப்பதான் தெரிஞ்சுக்கிட்ட மாதிரி தாஜ்மஹாலை ஷாஜகான் தான் கட்டினாருன்னு நம்ம சொல்லும் போது அது ஒரு பொறுமையின் சிகரம் தான். அடுத்தது பெருமை. நம்ம கற்றுக் கொடுக்கறதுல ஒரு டிக்னிட்டி ஆஃப் லேபர் இருக்கணும். இல்லை, தட் ஷுட் பி த பிரைட். மேலும் பலவற்றாலும் சிறந்து விளங்குபவராக ஒரு ஆசிரியர் இருத்தல் வேண்டும். அத்தகைய ஆசிரியரே மாணவரின் உண்மையான சிறந்த அப்படின்னு நன்னூல் சொல்லுது. ஓகே, நெக்ஸ்ட். யூஎஸ்ல என்ன பண்ணிருக்காங்க? they did an experiment. ஒரு ஸ்கூல் in Texas, they selected 30 best students in the school and they selected 3 best teachers in the school and they entrusted the 30 students to the 3 best teachers and told them in the beginning of the academic year that these students are the best students in the entire school and it is your duty to mold them so that they top the public examinations in the entire state. And these teachers became so happy that they have been rated as the best teachers. They taught so sincerely, dedicating themselves for teaching the students. The students also took pride. We are the best students in the school. They also learned vigorously. The entire exercise became a passionate experience. Then when the results were out, these 30 students, they were topped all the examinations in the entire state. Now they called the teachers and they wanted to felicitate them. Now the teacher said, "What is there to felicitate? You selected 30 best students and handed over to us. So they have secured the topmost ranks. So nothing to felicitate." Then the management said, "They are not the best students. He is selected by a large system only." Then the teachers were flabbergasted. They said, "Okay, then we are the best teachers. You are also not the best teachers. You were also selected by large system only." Now the teachers really had a shock of their lives and they asked, "How is it possible? How could it happen?" They said, "The power of positive expectations." Ultimately, in the class, if you are able to make the students realize the power of positive expectations, and if you also have the power of positive expectations, then the result will be stupendous. It will be tremendous. So create the power of positive expectations in every class that you handle. Next. I went for a movie when I was a collector, second show after a hectic week. I would have seen only 4 or 5 movies at that time. Sometimes seeing a movie becomes the greater punishment than the very job itself. It was so cumbersome. But fortunately, when I went and saw that movie, the documentary that they screened was much better than the actual feature film. In that documentary, they showed 2 Kerala teachers going to a tribal school in a far-off place in a hillock where only one banyan tree is standing and the brooks have all got dried up. The classroom was in a dilapidated condition. Students were not coming to the classroom. The earlier teachers used to go there once in a month, sign attendance and come back. Nobody will go for inspection also in the far-off tribal village. Very difficult to travel. Now these 2 teachers, they were Marxist and they decided that they will try to couple husband and wife. They will reform the whole village. So they went from household to household, canvassed for sending their children to the school. They spent some money and renovated the school also. Apart from these exercises, they conducted street plays to emphasize the importance of education to the parents. the parents started sending their children to the classes. The education was so interesting. They were not teaching all the classes in the same classroom. Sometimes they took them to the side of the path. Sometimes they took them to a temple. The classrooms were changed. Classes continued. After some time, the entire village started appreciating and respecting these teachers. They introduced new crops. They started renovating the ponds. They started desilting the brooks and water started flowing. They started planting trees with the help of the villagers. After 12 years, the village could not be identified because there were so many grown-up trees around the banyan tree, single banyan tree, which was there some 12 years ago. When they were about to take off, the entire village was in tears. A teacher can not only make a difference in the life of a student, they can make difference in the life of a great section of the society. So that is what I wanted to emphasize from this documentary. Next, higher education. What is the difference between this school education and higher education? Unfortunately, today many colleges function like schools. Schools without uniforms, and they also ask the children to keep their finger on the mouth. Almost like the schools, extension of schools. Higher education has got a separate purpose. It's not like school education. Here you have to give confidence to face the society with dexterity. See, I tell you, today's youth are well versed in the electronic media. But when they are exposed to a new environment, 50% of the students are able to adjust to the vagaries of weather in the outside world. But 50% of them are not having the confidence to face the society. Let me tell you an example. I will do this exercise here also. When we supplied a questionnaire to test whether they are extroverts or introverts, we found out that today 90% of the students are introverts. When we were students, we were administered the same questionnaire and only 2-3 students were introverts. One student was ambivert. All others were extroverts. Why so much of extroversion in the today's context? Could somebody tell me? Why so many extroverts? It's not because of exposure. It is because of the small instrument, the stupid instrument that we have in our hand. They don't communicate to the outside world. They don't have actual friends. They have only virtual friends. And that makes the whole lot of difference. Then life skills. What is life skills? Self-awareness, interpersonal communication, critical thinking, creative thinking, problem solving, effective communication, empathy, not having stress. All these things are very, very important. These life skills have to be important in the college. Unless a person has the knack of doing the out-of-box thinking, he will not be successful. He will be bogged down by the problems that he faces. Then imparts clarity, clarity of vision, clarity of communication. How many of them are able to communicate with clarity? That's a question. Provides direction for future. What is our... See, I will tell you an example. I asked the students in a college, what is the purpose of your life? You would be surprised to know that 90% of the students came and told, we did not think about a purpose for our life. I don't think that 30 years ago, students would have been in this position. When I joined a college, I had a clear vision about my life, a cause for my life, a goal for my life. So that is missing. Make a person competent to take a livelihood. This I told you already. Next. So, education has always been cumbersome. English professors may raise their hands. So you would have all read in the 7 ages stipulated by Shakespeare in As You Like It. So that's all right. But the most important thing is going to the school, and then the whining schoolboy with his kachal and shining morning face, creeping like a snail, unwilling to school. 500 years ago, children were unwilling to school. Not now, Mr. Murali. It's there for time long. So you need not have to feel bad about it. It's there for 500 years. Students were not willing to go to the school. Why? There is something wrong in the whole system of teaching. That is what we have to address. Next. Vision. So I told you that everybody should have a purpose for their life. Now we have a vision for this session. What is the vision? The purpose of the talk is to make the students come to the college with merriment, enjoy the classes like a festival, and leave the premises with satisfaction. This is the whole purpose. Not to make them score high grades, not to make them toppers, not to make them get university ranks. All these things are useless if they are not able to do this. That's my particular feeling. Okay, next. So my experiences. Excuse me for a while. When we joined business, there was no birth certificate. You have to complete 5 years, then only you will be admitted in the school. And as there was no birth certificate, you have to touch your ear like this. And most of the children may not be able to touch this. Even I did not touch. Even now I am not able to touch. So they will not admit in any school. So now the point is, immediately they filled up saying that I was born on 16th June. I was born on 16th September. So I got 3 months early retirement. So schools were joyful. You go to the school to play. Teachers were very kind. Some small homework will be there. Within half an hour you can finish. No project work in which parents have to do the job for you. Sunday night only the boy will say, "Appa, tomorrow there is a chart I have to submit on fruits." Father will abuse him like anything. No shop will be open. What can I do? So 8 o'clock he will go from shop to shop, collect the fruits, bring back, affix. At that time only he will discover many fruits. So till that point of time, you will not be doing the difference between watermelon and muskmelon. Now you will discover, oh, this is muskmelon. So teachers are educating the parents. And after everything was over, the boy will say, I have enquired my friend. Tomorrow is not the date of submission. It's on Wednesday only I have to submit. The father will ask him, why did you torture me like this? Then he will say, every day you are torturing me by sending me to the school. So can't you bear this small torture? So this is tit for tat by children. Okay. School timings were light. Lot of scopes for games and extracurricular activities. The school will be over by 4:10. The best school is the one which is near to your house. 5 minutes walk. Go home, finish the homework, then you start playing. That's all. That was a life. The next. So first plus 2 batch. I belong to the first plus 2 batch. Previous batch studied with the same syllabus. 10th although is studied, 11th although is same syllabus, but we studied only for 1 year. Then only few college schools were given the permission to run the plus 2. Teachers did not have expertise, so they did not know the syllabus also. So teachers and students learned together. Poor laboratory facilities, less reading materials, no model questions, question banks or notes. That was the situation in which we studied. Next. So in our batch, even if a person gets 75%, he will get into engineering. No competition, nothing. Many of them were getting in the third list, fourth list, and many of them have constructed good buildings and they are still surviving. Nothing has collapsed. So 99% marks has not made any difference in the quality of the buildings. Okay. Now, So applied for TNAU, 70% got in the first list. Okay, next. So our campus was a sprawling campus, 700 acres, 750 acres. So hostel life is a must. Day scholars have to get exemption. Then trimester system. Trimester system, you know, 3 semesters per year. 70 working days is a compulsion. Grade system. They will have a midterm, final, practicals, and 30 for midterm, 30 for final, 40 for practical. Every subject will have practical, because agriculture cannot have a theoretical class. Okay. Coimbatore. So if you secure 90% A, 89.5% B, 80% C, 70% B, 80% B, 70% C, and 60% D. Below that, fail. Then overall grade point average should be 2.25. That means the person should have secured around 75%. Yeah, 75%. Then only he can clear the exam. Otherwise, he has to improve the grades by writing some exam or other in the syllabus, and he has to improve. Okay, next. Classes will start at 7 a.m. We will go to the practicals in the field with a spade or hand hoe. Then field sessions in uniform. Cycle is the mode of commutation. So credit points will be there. You have to fill up the credit point initially. Okay, next. Evening hours for herbarium collection and insect collection. You have to collect the insects, and there will be separate marks. They will give you a net and a cyanide bottle. Sometimes some of the boys, out of love failure, consume the cyanide and they don't die. They don't die. Because the cyanide is only meant for insects, not for human beings. So the professors used to call them and tell them, had you told your intention, we would have given you a powerful cyanide. So rearing the insects, crop cultivation course will be there. You will be given 5 cents, you have to cultivate, you have to harvest, and the money that comes out of the produce will be credited to you. So all those arrangements were. They're very interesting. We used to have a village visit. Then we used to go for all India tour to various, because we used to study only rice, paddy, then kambu, solam, sugar cane, then groundnut, gingery, etc. But you should also know about wheat, barley, rye, oats. You should know about potato. You should know about mustard. So we will be taken for all India tour. Okay, next. So we used our premises effectively. Excellent interaction between the professors and the students. They used to take us regularly for outings to villages, farmers' fields. Sometimes the farmers will be doing much better than the university. They will be doing an exemplary cultivation. Then excellent library we had, just like a 3-star hotel, a nice library. We had a swimming pool, auditorium where they used to screen movies on Saturday for the students to relax. Then students who studied always relished their college days. Whenever 4 or 5 agri students joined together after 30 days, they always discuss about their golden college days. Okay, next. So trimester system insisted maximum attendance. One cannot skip more than 2 classes. So 3 exams per subject I told you. Sometimes, because we had some 200 exams in the entire course, sometimes you may have some death or sometimes you have the marriage of somebody. So you can apply for re-exam by paying 10 rupees and they will conduct re-exam for you. Even I applied sometime. And they will evaluate and give you that facility. It is there in all the universities in the United States of America. In all the universities, there is a provision for re-examination. Teachers were listened to with rapt attention because we used to make notes. The class, mostly class notes will become like the Bible for the entire batch. And we used to take every word that the teacher utters. Sometimes even if they are we used to write yarn. Professor yarn. Okay, next. Professors were guides. See, our professors only motivated me to go for competitive examination. They will guide you, they will help you. Evening hours, we used to sit along with them and sip a cup of tea. We used to go to the movies with them. Very friendly outside the class. But in the class, they will be very strict. The class, they will be like Amjad Khan, but outside, they will be like Amitabh Bachchan. Okay, next. So, college should become a place for learning through discussions, debates, presentation. Self-learning should be promoted. Why I am saying is, now learning is not a problem at all. See, materials are available in large numbers on the mobile phone itself. I am telling you, you will be surprised to know that we could generate the data that was generated by human beings for 2000 years in 2 days. Whatever data that has been generated, whatever information that has been generated by the entire human race for 2000 years can be generated in 2 days. So, material dearth is not at all there. You have a lot of material. But whether they are able to comprehend it, whether they are able to understand it, whether they are able to integrate it, and whether they are able to assimilate it. That is the question. So how could it be done? It could only be done through discussions. A classroom should become a place for discussions, not for teaching. If you are having a teacher-centric classroom, today it will be outdated. You should have a student-centric classroom. That is possible only through discussions, debates, presentation, group learning. Self-learning should be promoted. Entire syllabus need not be taught. 30% should be learned on their own. In fact, in many foreign universities, the previous day itself they will give the portion which they are going to teach. The students are supposed to study overnight, and in the next class they will have discussions. More assignments and term papers so that they go to the library. You have got a library, nice library, use them, refer to some books. When they refer to books, they will also read the extra material available in the book rather than the syllabus itself. The syllabus is confined like something, see, it's kind of channelizing the knowledge in a particular direction. But that is not the kind of knowledge a student should get in the higher education. His knowledge should be a broad-based one, then only he can crack the competitive examinations. Students should refer to foreign authors, scientific journals, and e-magazines. Now, earlier, almost all the theses, dissertations and theses were done by the system of cut and paste. So specifically, they have discovered this plagiarism software to know how you have plagiarized. So cut and paste should not be encouraged. Okay, next. Memorizing. Unfortunately, in Tamil Nadu, when somebody says some 10 names continuously, people will start clapping. Memory is a poor substitute for intelligence. I can tell you also, if a person is having enormous memory power, he will be less intelligent. I will tell you why. I will tell you, there is an experiment which was done in which a person called Henry Molaison, he had some problem in his brain, so surgery was done and his hippocampus was removed. All the zoology teachers may be knowing that hippocampus is responsible for the long-term memory. When it was removed, he was not able to remember anything. He would forget that he has taken breakfast and he would eat again. The process, he became obese. But he has not forgotten cycling and swimming. Then only they understood that there are two types of memory, procedural memory and semantic memory. Procedural memory will remain in your life, remain throughout your life. If you learn cycling, you will not forget cycling. You may not be able to balance, but you will definitely know to cycle. Similarly, swimming. Then they found out something strange. The intelligent quotient of Henry Molaison has increased. Why? Because he did not have memory. So memory is not the indication of intelligence. So we should discourage the students to learn by rote. They depend on reading materials. Ask them to prepare their own materials from various sources. They do not venture to learn something extra. Encourage the students who write some extra point. You give 5 points. My teacher used to say, I will give 5 points. You read 4, remember 3, write 2, so that you will get mark at least for 1. But I am saying that you give 5 points. If somebody writes an extra point, give him more marks. More marks should be given only for the students who write extra points. If that is encouraged, they will learn extra. Reference material is not at all used by higher education. Nowadays they don't even use the books. They use ChatGPT. 5 points, 10 points. They study and they write. And how could they fare well? I read a long essay suggested by Shashi Tharoor, the advantage of long form reading. And he says that long form reading is highly essential if a person wants to become an intellect. Let me tell you one thing. By going through the ChatGPT material, would somebody have the guts to discuss on the subject matter with another person who has read it from various sources? He can never have the guts, can never have the courage. His knowledge is shallow and he is hollow. So, we must encourage them to use more reading materials. Next. See, this is another person called Tushar Kanjala. We were drafted for our non-governmental organization attachment. It is otherwise called the voluntary organization attachment during our training program. So, we were drafted to go to 24 Paraganas district in West Bengal. There is a place called Rangabelia. There was a teacher called Tushar Kanjala, a Marxist teacher. He was shifted as a kind of punishment and posted to Rangabelia from Calcutta. By his intervention in the Rangabelia, which is prone for various storms because it's surrounded by backwaters and brackish waters. Drinking water will not be available. Some 48 villages. He changed the configuration of all the 48 villages. Every family will prepare a plan. Every village will prepare a plan and they will get loans from the cooperative banks run by themselves. Then the timings of the school will be adjusted in such a way that when there are high tides, school will not operate. When there is a low tide, school will operate. And Tushar Kanjala was acclaimed as the Man of the Year by VK magazine in 1986. I am telling this for your information that a teacher can definitely make a difference not only in the life of one individual but in the lives of so many people. Next. How are you going to make the classroom noisy? Generally people think that if the classroom is silent, he is the best teacher. Pin drop silent. We say, pin then you can go to the graveyard. Why should you come to the class? A classroom is supposed to be noisy. Students should ask questions. Teachers should reply. Meanwhile, some other boy will get a doubt and he will shout. And that is the kind of silence I expect. And that is not the silence of the graveyard. That is the silence of the garden. In the garden, the silence will be interrupted by the cooing of the cuckoos, warbling of the nightingales, chirping of the sparrows, rustling of the leaves, and blossoming of the flowers. That kind of silence I expect. And the monologues, people who have studied English literature will know dramatic monologues written by Robert Browning, Andrea del Sarto. You would have read about Andrea del Sarto. Dramatic monologues are very good in English literature. But in the class, all the time teacher is talking means students will not listen. So it should be a dialogue. Distraction is to be discouraged. Why people get distracted? If the classroom is interesting, nobody will get distracted. Simon Sinek, in his beautiful book, Leaders Eat Last, he says, today's generation is a distracted generation. So handling them is very tough. You have to make extra efforts to make them attentive and see that there is less interaction. So participation is the only way by which a distraction is to be. I'll tell you a small thing. Whenever I go to a session in a very big auditorium, I will ask the students to ask some question after my lecture is over. Sometimes some interruptions may be here and there when I talk, but when the student asks a question, all the students will be listening to it with rapt attention. So participation is important. Make the classroom student friendly. How could you make the classroom student friendly? Carry some more pens, carry some more pencils. The student doesn't come with a pen, give that pen to him. Let him write. He will be grateful throughout his studies, not life. Nobody is grateful throughout his life. Do you think that your spouse will be grateful throughout your life? Nobody will be grateful. Gratitude is a temporary phenomenon. Kindly understand it. If you have any misconception about it, kindly efface it. Okay. Encourage questions and discussions. Okay. Next. Make the classroom participative. How the attendance? It is not the attendance that you take. It's not the attendance. The attention decides the attendance. If they are attentive, then only the attendance. Conduct periodical quiz. Maybe after 10 minutes, ask some 2 or 3 questions. Make it interactive. Online multiple choice question to know the depth of understanding. Always encourage group discussions. Divide the class. If you have 40 students, you should have around 4 groups and discussions between them. Give them a topic. Let them analyze it and come and teach. Once in a week, you give this exercise. By this way, their understanding will improve, their clarity will improve. Apart from all these things, their communication power will increase. Initially, they will speak horrible English. Don't worry about it. Encourage them to speak in English. All of us spoke horrible English at one point of time. Some of us still speak. That is the difference. But it doesn't matter. Language is only for communication. I have seen the North Indian jobs. They will speak horrible English but with confidence. And our civilians, when they go for the UPSC, they will know the answer but they will be shivering. Why is it so? We lack confidence. We lack practice. Then take them for periodical trips. Then extra studies and current reference. That I told you already. Okay? Next. Now there is a question generally asked, sir, syllabus எவ்வளவு இருக்கு சார்? நீங்க பாட்டுக்கு ஏதோ பேசிட்டு போறீங்க சார். இதெல்லாம் நடக்கிற காரியமா? இவர் ப்ரொஃபஸரா வந்திருக்கணும். அப்ப தெரியும் அப்படின்ற கிளாஸ் முடிஞ்சு. Some of you may think in your mind, but I will tell you, I started my life as a teacher only. My mother was a teacher. My sisters were teaching in the college. My brother started as a teacher in Valley School of J. Krishnamurthy. Even I taught some, initially when I was unemployed, I taught a boy and I got some money. So teaching is a passion. Even now I feel that what I am doing is nothing but teaching, nothing else. So 3 types of syllabus are there. One is knowledge based, and another one is analysis based, and the other one is understanding based. In all the competitive exams, you have the 3 types of portions. Knowledge. For example, knowledge means what is the capital of Denmark? What is the capital of Japan? Knowledge base. But if they ask about the analysis of the judgment recently given by Supreme Court on a particular issue, then it is not knowledge based. You have to say whether it is correct as per the constitution, whether there is any precedence, whether it is just judicial activism, whether it erodes the power of the parliaments to make laws. All those things have to be analyzed. So, understanding based and analysis based. Knowledge based should be learned by the student, other two require detailed deliberations. So, that is very, very important. So, you leave the knowledge based thing to be learned by the students themselves. You don't teach that Tokyo is the capital of Japan. Don't teach them that London is the capital of England. Let them learn on their own. 30 to 40% don't cover. The remaining things you have to cover. You have to do an exercise. Next. During my college days, my mentors motivated me to read books. Some of them civil services, some of them gave some additional books for me to read. Very friendly, understanding faculty members. See, I tell you, when I studied in the college, we learned it with so much of passion. So my microbiology professor came and met me when I was collector of Kanjipuram. I told him, sir, still I remember the definition that you given for microbiology. He saw me like this. Microbiology is the study of the organisms which are too small to be clearly perceived by the unaided naked eye. He said, correct? I asked him. He said, it's correct. How do you remember? I said, we learned with so much of passion because the teacher, he was from Belgium, he did his PhD. He will make the classroom so interesting. So we still remember the definitions given by him. Okay, next. Teachers of all time, you know the trio I told you. Buddha was a master because he taught the disciples. Not only that he taught the disciples, he used to tell the disciples, just because I say something, you need not have to trust me. You experiment it. You can differ from me. Don't be carried away by what I say. Don't be swayed by what I say. You have to find out the truth. You have to ferret out the secrets in existence yourself. Then Buddha created a proper system of schooling and Nalanda was the offspring. You know, Samana Palli, so it was a contribution of Jains. So Palli, they wanted to teach the poor students, so they were all living in the caves. So they took the students and they taught them. Temples in Tamil Nadu also, for example, in Tirumukkudal, they had a kind of university where they were teaching. All the temple premises were brimming with schools and knowledge. Next. So quotable quotes. Teacher is the one who gets most out of the lessons, and the true teacher. Actually, only when you teach, you will understand the lesson. Not when you learn. Only when you teach, you learn it properly. A good teacher can inspire hope, ignite the imagination and instill, allow. You should read the letter. You should read an article written by Elbert Hubbard. Kindly read it. It's just 3 pages. It's available in the net. It is available in the handphone. The name of the article is A Letter to Garcia. Kindly note down, A Letter to Garcia. You will find it so interesting. A Letter to Garcia, Garcaa. So, Letter to Garcia was written by Elbert Hubbard, and he says the teacher gets the maximum. And Khalil Gibran said, the teacher who is indeed wise does not bid you to enter the house of his wisdom. He will not ask the child to think like himself. No. You enter into your own mind, into the threshold of your wisdom. Don't enter it, don't copy me, don't imitate me. Don't become a photocopy. You are an original, you are unique. So think originally. Okay, next. Qualities of a teacher. First one is he should have passion. Many people may be knowledgeable. We had a professor for teaching breeding, highly knowledgeable person, but a very poor teacher. When he comes and takes class, nobody will understand. But a very nice man, highly knowledgeable, he used to read a lot of books, not only in breeding, not only in genetics, but in various other subjects. But teaching is a passion. Everybody cannot teach. One need not be a college topper or university rank holder to become a good teacher. I came across a person called Vasumati. She was teaching the students of LKG and UKG in DAV school. So we asked her, what is your education college? She said, PhD. Then you could have gone to a college. She said, I like children. So I want to continue here as a principal to teach LKG and UKG students, and that is the passion. Then Shahjahan, when Shahjahan was imprisoned in Agra fort, he asked Aurangzeb to send a few students so that he can teach them namaz. He was so fond of teaching. Alan of Chennai, we had a professor called Alan from Chennai College. Students will never miss his class because he used to draw the viscera of frog with both hands. He was such a beautiful teacher, no students will miss. There was a professor in Annamalai University. While he was teaching, a news came from his home that his son died. He completed the class and then only he left. English teacher, there was a teacher in Ramakrishna Vidyalaya, Mysore. When I went there, they showed him to me. He was an English teacher. I asked him what is special about him. He got elevated as principal. Then he conducted an interview to select his successor to teach English properly. But he could not find any candidate who could teach like him. Then he said, anybody could be the headmaster. Let me become the English teacher again. That is the passion. Okay. These are all these people who can inspire you day in and day out. Think of these ideal people and not the people who don't teach and who still draw salary. Okay, next. Patience. Patience is very, very important. You know the story of Anglimal? See, Anglimal is a person who lived in the forest. When somebody trespasses into the forest, it's not the trespass. Actually, forest belongs to everybody. But he thinks that they are trespassing into his territory. And when somebody enters into the territory of forest, he will cut their fingers and he will make a garland out of it and they will wear it. That is why Anguli Mal, garland of fingers. Okay. When Buddha was going through the forest, people told there is a person called Anguli Mal, don't go there, he may kill you. An enlightened person is not at all scared about death. That is the beauty. Who is enlightened? One who is not bothered about his death. So Buddha entered into the forest. Angulimal appeared before him and asked, how dare you enter into this forest? I am going to kill you. Buddha said, you can kill me, but before that do me a favor. What is that favor? Could you pull a small leaf from that tree? He said, why to pull a small leaf? I will pull the entire branch. He pulled the entire branch and came out. Then came and presented it to Buddha. Buddha said, it's all right. Very good. Now put you back. Could you put it back to the tree? How is it possible? Buddha said, you can take the lives of so many people, but could you give back the life? At that point of time, Angulimal realized, and he became a disciple of Buddha. Initially, people were ostracizing him and criticizing him, but Buddha rehabilitated him nicely into his monastery. So allow room for students to reform. Every student can reform. Nobody is born bad. All of us have some badness in us. But over a period of time, we start eliminating it. Emotionally, we should be stable. We should not become angry for trivial reasons. Sometimes we become angry. This boy alone is not respecting us. This girl is not respecting us. It happens. But there may be reasons for not respecting. You do not know what is the situation in her house. She may be having a drunkard father. She may be having an indifferent mother. Somebody in her house might have eloped with somebody else. So many issues are there. That is why the letters to Bengal, Rabindranath says that when his servant maid came late on the next day without being present the previous day, he shouted at her. The servant maid said, "Sir, I could not come because my mother died yesterday." At that point of time, Rabindranath realized something called empathy. The other side is also to be heard. That is the principles of natural justice. The other side should also be heard. If it is not heard, then we may not be able to understand the version of that side. So allow room for students to reform. Every student is unique. We cannot compare one student to another, and no student compare. No student likes to be compared. No child likes to be compared. You know this popular joke when your father was telling his son, "See, in your age, Pandit Jawaharlal has read more than 10,000 books." So the boy said, "In your age, he has become the Prime Minister of the country." So it's not good to compare. Next, effective communication. Of course, the most important communication is not verbal communication. All of us are well versed in verbal communication. What is important is the non-verbal communication. 93% of our communication is non-verbal. Only 7% is verbal. So the way you stand, the way you look, the way you make the gesture, the way the eye contact is there, the way you facially express, the posture, everything matters a lot. I will tell you a small example to emphasize on the importance of non-verbal communication. In the Second World War, some of the American soldiers learnt German and infiltrated into the territories of Germany to do the espionage. But they have not learnt that the Germans crossed their legs in the European way and the Americans crossed their legs in the figure 4 position. So they continued to cross their legs in the figure 4 position. They were caught by the Germans and they were killed. So non-verbal communication is very important. Now audio-visual communication. Because to engage the students, you require audio-visual communication. Next. Classroom management. Professors should create a positive learning environment. That is very important. Motivate the students to learn more. You can only be a catalyst. You cannot give everything that is to be learned by the teacher. They should probe on their own. தேடலை ஏற்படுத்துவதே மிகச்சிறந்த கல்வி. So you should make them to probe on their own. Teaching is now not only an art and science but also technology, because the teacher has to compete with Google. If I say something, immediately my sons open the Google and see whether I am saying the correct fact or not. So first of all, I should be thorough before I tell anything, not only in the public but also with our own home. They should not slight a student for the ignorance. Ignorance is something that should not be slighted, because everybody is ignorant in some way or other. We are ignorant of so many things. Just because we know a particular thing, we cannot demotivate a particular student. We cannot admonish a particular student. Let me tell you a trick for your success. Appreciate in public, admonish in private, so that the ego of the person is not affected. Even as a chief secretary, when some officer doesn't perform well, they used to call him separately, and I would say, "I expected a lot from you, but you have done like this." Immediately he will be in tears. If I shout at him, she will not be in tears. Generally, there is an easy way of moving the people, saying that, "I trusted so much, you are such a talented." See, in Africa, there is a tribe. In that tribe, if somebody commits some mistake, all the tribes will join together and he will be standing in the center. Then one person will say, "You helped me when a child was about to get drowned in the sea, he is drowned in the river. How would you Then somebody will say, you helped me and such a situation. On that day I was hungry, you gave me bread. Like that, everybody will appreciate his good deeds. And that person will be in tears. When the people have so much of regards for me, why should I do this kind of error? After that, you will get completely reformed. That is the way they punish. Now you tell me, who is more civilized? Are we more civilized? Are the tribes in that African continent, the dark continent, which we are supposed to criticize, which we always belittle? So, don't slide. Next. Engagement techniques. Keep them engaged. Novel teaching methods can be introduced. It can be a treasure hunt in the classroom itself. It can be a debate between two sections of the classroom. So something totally different, out of the box. If you do that, they will enjoy the classroom. Next. So flipped classroom, a type of blended classroom. Students complete readings at home, and that I told you already, problem solving in the class time. Tactile learning, physical activity or touch to learn new information. Procedural memory. I told you procedural memory is something which people do not forget. Okay? Visual, auditory and kinesthetics. Kinesthetics you know very well. There are 8 types of intelligences enlisted by Howard Gardner. In that, interpersonal, intrapersonal, logical intelligence, musical intelligence, so many intelligences are there, out of which kinesthetics intelligence is also one. Could you name a person who was very good in kinesthetic intelligence? Charlie Chaplin. Body movements, body language. So kinesthetics. Project based, give them some specific projects. Let the projects be unique. Let it be a collaborative learning or an individual learning. Next. Problem based, give them a problem, practical problem, and let them solve it. Collaborative learning I told you, cooperative learning also I told you. Game based. In management you can always conduct some games. Similarly, people who do, how many of you are here from hotel management? So hotel management also, you can give some new exercises. Let them prepare a new recipe. Let them come out. Okay. So you can give a competition and they can prepare a new recipe. You can name it after them and you can popularize in the YouTube. Game-based learning is possible. See, there is a book. There are so many books written by a person called Sullivan, and they are all out-of-box thinking puzzle. Every class, you give out-of-box thinking at the end of the session and ask the students to come with the answer in the next class and give them praise. That will motivate them to think in a different way. Next. Inquiry, previous one. Inquiry based poses questions, problems and scenarios and they have to answer. Thinking based. Critical thinking is missing nowadays. They don't think about an issue from different angles. Otherwise, I would say that they go by the text material available. They are not able to analyze the material. So that is why our students are not able to fare well in many of the competitive examinations conducted by the Union Public Service Commission. You will be surprised to know that 550 engineering colleges are there, but hardly a few students enter into the Indian Engineering Service. They don't have this thinking-based learning. Competency-based learning. That is also real-world situations are to be given and they have to work on it. Independent learning, active choices to manage the studies with a degree of autonomy that can, like for example, have some kind of attachment somewhere so that they can learn. Okay, next. Engagement techniques, content-based, discussion and demonstration. Learner-based means you can have small tutorial groups. They can discuss and finally you can go and moderate. Then field visit also. Interactive study assignment online learning, lecture, seminar. All these methods will ultimately make the student to learn more than what they learn in your classroom, and they will easily score good marks. Apart from that, they can also do well in the competitive examinations, SLET, NET, and all kinds of examinations. So teaching methodology could be worksheets, group discussion, brainstorming. We hardly have brainstorming. Case studies can be given. Even in our IAS coaching, they used to give the case studies. And you have to work on it. There is no yes or no answer. It depends how you look at the whole issue. How you present the issue. That is very, very important. Next. Timely and constructive feedback. So students should be given timely and constructive feedback, and the feedback is to be continuous feedback also. Then only they can improve upon the lacunae that they have. Frequent self-correction exercises. How many of us discuss the answer papers with the students? If you are able to discuss the answer paper thoroughly with the student, then only they will understand the flaws that they have made and they will be able to correct. Tell them how the presentation could be improved. What are the faults in the presentation? I know very well that in our question papers we have many terms. Discuss, elaborate, enumerate, bring the salient features, define, explain, examine. All these terms are there. Whatever may be the question, they will write the same thing. And it is up to the teachers to pick up the pearls of wisdom from the answer and give some marks. For example, when they ask the question, what is the difference between North Indian rivers and South Indian rivers, the first point they write is, the North Indian rivers flow in North India, South Indian rivers flow in South India. Still, teachers will give some mark. At least he knows that North Indian rivers, they are highly compassionate, endowed with so much of compassion that they give some marks. But I would rather say that discussing the answer papers and improving the presentation is very, very important. Many a time people do not understand what is the difference between enumerate and explain. Compare and contrast. Compare means you compare both the positive and negative, similarities and dissimilarities. Whereas contrast means only the differences have to be highlighted. So we have to make them understand the importance of these terms. The Achilles heels of the student. What is Achilles heels? We know what is Achilles heels. Achilles was a Greek hero. When he was born, there was an oracle in the sky. If you dip this child into river Styx, all the parts immersed at one stretch will be developing enormous endurance, and even arrows cannot pierce through them. So the mother caught hold of his heels and dipped it in Styx. So his heels was the weakest portion for Achilles. This secret was known to Helen. So she told Priam, and Priam killed him by shooting an arrow on his heels. So that is Achilles heels. So every student will have some Achilles heels. Strengthen his heels by pointing out that it is his weak point. Next. Sense of humor. I always feel that if you do not have a sense of humor, how boring it would be. So read some humorous jokes, sometimes crack some jokes, tell some anecdotes, make the classroom interesting. They are not deviations. In fact, they enliven the entire session. I can tell you that 10% of the room is not used now. Would you be using that corner at any point of time? Would you be using that corner at any point of time? Would you be using that corner at any point of time? They are not being used. But those corners are there so that we can use the other portions effectively. Banana's peel is not used, but to eat banana peel is required to safeguard it. Similarly, humor, anecdote, once in a while some stories, some parables will lubricate the entire class. Okay, next. Teacher should always be a student. A teacher should not read only a particular subject. You can read something from literature, something from history. There are so many books on history which can be read like a novel. If you read the books of Herodotus, they are just like novels. Do you have any history teachers here? History faculty is not there. It's very unfortunate that we do not have humanities now. After some 20 years, we will not have a teacher to teach history, and all our students will not be having any knowledge about history. History will become a mystery, and they will become hysterical if they don't know. I can only tell you that history is a must, geography is a must. All those things we should know. Once in a while, quote from the life of Akbar, quote from the life of Ashoka, quote from the life of Chanakya, quote from the life of Rajaraja, quote from the life of Alexander, whatever it is. So keep on reading some general books also. Not, for example, chemistry teachers means they should not know only about chemistry. They should also know about the evolution of chemistry, importance of chemistry, the role of chemistry in medicine. So all those things are equally important. A good teacher should be ready to learn even from the students. Some of the students will be brilliant in a particular thing. Are we not learning from the young people? One particular thing which we have to learn only from the young people is our mobile applications. All of us learn only from the young people. They are well versed in certain things. So learn from them. There is nothing wrong in it. So teacher and student should first declare that I do not know everything. I know something more than you in certain aspects. So both of us start learning now. That should be the spirit with which we should start the class. Next. Alternate. I know an example. One of the students in a class, when the teacher said alternative current, he corrected as alternating current. But the teacher got angry. Throughout the session, he was bombarding him and bullying him. He felt that he was humiliated in front of the other students. Had I been in his position, I would have said that, sorry, I am subject to correction, it is alternating current. I will verify and I will see whether it is alternative or alternating. There is nothing wrong in admitting a mistake. Let us be a fool for 1 minute rather than be a fool for the entire life. The teacher should be humble. 7 sages. You know, Socrates was told by one of the persons in Greece, we have made an analysis, you are one of the 7 sages in Greece. Socrates said, I am not a sage. I don't know how to read and write also. So how can I be a sage? No, you are a sage. Okay, let me discover, let me explore myself. After a journey for a few days, Socrates came and told, what you said must be correct, it seems. Then the person asked, how do you say that? Because I enquired many people. They pretend as though they know certain things which they do not know. And they claim themselves to be sages. But I know only one thing, that I do not know. Hence I know everything. A person who do not know that he does not know. A person who knows that he does not know, knows that he knows something. And that is actually important for any teacher. Next. Teacher should make the classroom student-centric. I told you about all the things, I need not have to elaborate. You can read a small book written by Professor Madasamy, Enakuriya Idamengi. Enakuriya Idamengi is a beautiful book, and to serve with love I will come in the end. There is a Chinese movie called Road to Home, in which an illiterate girl goes to the well to draw the water, and that well is situated right in front of the school. Whenever she goes and draws the water, she finds a new teacher teaching the class passionately. She was engrossed in the way he teaches. Sometimes he will pour the water again into the well and keep pulling just to watch him, how beautifully he teaches. She falls in love with him. Both of them get married. Now after 40 years, that man dies in the town. So his son says, we will bring his dead body to the village. She says, no. I don't want him to be brought by car. I want him to be carried by his students. After knowing this information, the students who were educated by the teacher carried him on his shoulders, brought him, and he was given the final rites. Then the mother says, you should teach in the same school where he taught, and I should watch it as a student. And that actually fulfills the life of the girl who loved a person for being a good teacher. So that is Road Home. Kindly see the movie. It is just 1.5 hours, not more than that. Okay, next. Teachers should be empathetic. That I will tell you in the end, because that is the topic of the entire speech. No problematic students, only problematic parents. You don't have problematic students. It's all, if a student is problematic, it is because of the parent. Okay. There are many children having personal problems, financial, domestic, single. Now, you would have noticed one thing. A drastic change in the family structure. Now, more and more students are having single parents. Either because of the death of the father, or because of the divorce, or because of the illicit relationship. So many factors are there. So that is also a very big issue. The students who have single parent could not be equated with a child who is having both the parents. Drunkard father, ruthless parents, problematic neighborhood. You know about Annie Sullivan? She was very empathetic. Helen Keller used to be a mischievous lady. She used to do a lot of physical violence on Annie Sullivan. But she treated her with a lot of empathy, made her as a woman, and Helen Keller wrote a few books. Still, she is a model for all the differently abled individuals. G.H. Hardy helped Srinivas Ramanujan. They were all the people who molded students, who were empathetic towards the students. Next. Impartial. You should never favor a person. Even sometimes a girl may be very intelligent, but you should not be partial towards her. You should be impartial. Treat all the students alike. Classic examples, Drona and Parasurama, you know very well. Drona said that I will not teach Ekalaiva. In fact, only a person who lives in the forest requires the art of archery because he wants to save himself from the animals. Why should the kings and princes learn archery for killing other human beings? A person in the tribal area will not kill any human being. He will kill only animals which harm them. In fact, Drona should have taught Ekalaiva rather than Arjuna and other people. Similarly, Parasurama, he had some reservation. I will not teach Kshatriya. These are all the classic examples for impartiality, partiality. Even in the West, partiality is prevalent. The Afro-Americans were discriminated based on the race. There were separate schools in the United States of America till a particular point of time for Afro-Americans. Okay, next. Teachers should teach for the last row. I have put this point deliberately because I always used to sit in the last row. I'm so fond of last row. Because if you are in the last row, if you sleep, the professor will not watch. And in the last row, you can see the entire class. Nobody will disturb you. Last row is the highly comfortable one. What I meant as the last row is that you should teach for the student who require your concern, require your care. And he should always be kept in mind. Lessons should be simple. Anecdotes of great men who were poor learners in their schools. I can tell you, Albert Einstein was a poor learner. Edison was thrown out of the classroom. Walter Scott was always made to stand in the dunce corner. Robert Burns was always criticized by him, by the teachers. Newton was the last but one student in the classroom. I can quote you umpteen number of examples where there were brilliant people who had a poor exposure during their childhood, and they were all late boomers. Sometimes, like the Chinese bamboo, late booming happens in the life of people. So you should not dismiss them as failures. Next, a great teacher should identify the inner talents. You know very well, the father of modern cinema is Akira Kurosawa. Akira Kurosawa only introduced close-up shots. He was dull in the school. One of the teachers identified his talent, encouraged him, and he became the father of modern cinema. The last movie that he directed was Dreams, a production by Spielberg. That was an honor given by Spielberg for the expertise and wisdom of Akira Kurosawa. Then Albert Einstein, I told you, Mahatma Gandhi by Hardyman in England. Edison was tutored by his mother. Next, a great teacher never compares one student with another, because the moment you compare, you will feel envious of the other person. Then you will also feel dejected, frustrated. A kind of inferiority complex comes. A politician went to the psychiatrist and told the psychiatrist, I am suffering from inferiority complex. So he gave him a lot of counseling, exercises, everything, and finally, after a few days, he told the politician, you are not suffering from inferiority complex. Oh, nice. You are simply inferior, that's all. So inferiority complex breeds envy. Comparison paves the way for fixed minded. I said growth mindset. Growth mindset means you will feel that it is challenging. Fixed mindset means you will feel it is difficult. Growth mindset means you will feel that by hard work you can achieve it. Fixed mind means you will feel that it is impossible for me. So that is very important. Comparison lowers the interest for striving. Comparison erodes self-respect. Every human being is unique. Khalil Gibran said, your children are not your children. They come through you, not from you. You can house their bodies, but not their minds. That's very, very important. Next. Never admonish a student, this I have already told you. Advising in front of others is considered as an affront. So advise in private, appreciate in public, applaud in public, acknowledge in public, recognize in public, condemn in private, admonish in private. Those things are very, very important. Next. Create a purpose. See, that's what I am saying. Every student in your classroom should be given an essay. What is the purpose of your life? If you give them an essay and if you declare some praises, at that point of time only they will think about your purpose for their life. Tell them inspirational stories of great men. Give them direction. So cause is different from goal. For example, the United States of America went to moon just to show off to the USSR that we can also venture into the space. But after that nothing happened because it was not a cause-oriented approach. It was a goal-oriented approach. Becoming a doctor is a goal. Serving the rural areas is a cause. Becoming a doctor is a goal. Discovering new technology for treating the patients is a cause. So cause-oriented life should be taught to the students. Make them go beyond textbooks. Encourage them to pursue some extracurricular activities. They are very important. They should develop some hobbies. Now, when I inquire many students, they don't have habits. In our school times, people used to collect stamps, people used to collect coins. People used to participate in painting competitions. Some people will write poetry and they will be chasing us to read out the poetry which they have written. And now such exercises are not there. Next, be an exemplar. Don't be selfish, be sincere, be smiling. Many of you are smiling here, so no problem. So, be enthusiastic, be appreciative, be disciplined. We should be disciplined, we should be punctual. The way we dress also matters. If you have some kind of personal weakness, even Thiruvalluvar says that having weakness is not bad, but if you make it known to everybody, it is bad. So your weakness should not be exposed to everybody. Be punctual, be social, be neat. These things are very, very important. Next, be courageous, be unique. Classic example of Gandhi writing kettle. There is a teacher called Veeri Chetty. There's a book on him. And the Kanavu Bola I read. It was written by Nehru. So Veeri Chetty was posted in a tribal village and he introduced the system of night tuition to the poor students in the tribal village. And he stayed in the school itself. Though there were a lot of snakes, scorpions and centipedes, he stayed in the school, cooked the food himself, made the tribal students to score good marks and then got transferred from the school. So such examples are always there. They are the exemplars. I told you about Tushar Kanjilal, couple from Kerala, they are the examples. Okay, next. Essential, make the students original thinkers. So discourage learning by rote, encourage creative reading, make them read widely. As I told you, encourage them to read some general books, stories, novels. Then they will be able to communicate well. They will do creative thinking very well. They can start from small books of 50 pages, 60 pages. That is fair enough. Make them read in English also, because English, all said and done, is a global language. Lingua franca of the entire world. Write an obituary. This happened in a classroom. The teacher told, write an obituary for your own death. The students started writing pages after pages. Only one boy went and handed over a blank paper. The teacher asked, why are you handing over it? Sir, if I am dead, how can I write? So he got the prize. So out of box thinking. So Director Venkata Subramaniam, he was the director of school education, and he said, some team from the north came and they went through the various schools in our state. And finally they said everything is okay, but all the students of 8th class went to Mysore alone for Dasara holidays. Because it is given in Kona notes. The situation is, Valluvarum Thirukurali தேர்வு எழுத போனார், ஆனால் தோற்று போனார். காரணம் அவர் கொண்டு போகவில்லை கோனார். That is the situation. So it's very important that we make them think originally. That's very, very important. Next, make the students socially conscious. You can take them to some villages. You have a lot of buses here. You can ask the chairperson, take them to a nearby village. Celebration of Pongal in rural scenario. Visit to hospitals, orphanages and old age homes to make them more empathetic. Organizing debates on social topics. Okay. Literary activities on various socio-economic issues to sensitize the students. These are very, very important. Next. And finally, teaching is not a profession, it's a penance. No other profession would derive such immense satisfaction like a teacher. No student can ever surpass, in his academy it is written, no student can ever surpass the teacher. A student is always a student for a teacher. He may become cabinet secretary, he may become chief minister, he may become prime minister, but the teacher will say he is my student. Okay. Next is read books related to teaching in a novel way. There are a lot of books now available. I can give you a list also, maybe in the next session. The library can house it and they can read it. Go through Tuesdays with Mari. Mari was a great teacher, affected because of some neurological disease. Every week, students will go, and this particular author goes on Tuesdays, sit by his side and learns the wisdom in his last days. A teacher never retires. A teacher is the only profession who never retires. He is always a teacher. Thank you. Now, to serve with love. Richard Braithwaite has written a beautiful book called To Serve with Love, and it was made into a movie also. An African goes to Eastern London for teaching in a free discipline school. Free discipline school means there is no discipline. Students will behave as they like. You cannot beat the students. In America, if the student beats the teacher and if you beat him back, you will be suspended. So students have got right to beat the teachers because there is a book, The Teacher Man, written by Frank McCourt. I'll give the list of books, you don't bother about it. And he says that in America, if the student beats the teacher and if the students beats him back, slaps him back, he will be dismissed from the service. So this African, he doesn't get any other assignment. So when he applies for this job, goes there. The first class was a pandemonium. They were making fun of him. They were all European kids, fair in skin. And they were all criticizing his dark skin, making fun of him, behaving in a very rude way. But he was patient. And they used to ask all kinds of awkward questions to him. But he was quiet. Then he will continue to teach them. They will humiliate him, he will continue to teach them. One day he takes them to a museum to teach history. When they see the museum for the first time, they get thrilled. Then he will say, the hairstyle that you have, don't think that Europeans are much better than anybody else. The haircut that you have is 400 years old. The dress that you wear is 300 years old. Don't think that you are a great person. Then slowly he brings them back to his tune. The students get motivated. They all like him. They talk about him in the home also. One mother comes and complains about his daughter to him. Then he calls the daughter and advises. Initially she was slightly rebuking him, but later she understands. All the students develop affection. Meanwhile, in the initial days, he got totally frustrated. He applies for another job. And he's waiting for that assignment. The students become so attached. One day when he was doing gardening work, he got pierced by a sharp instrument and blood oozes out. One student will say, oh, hey, come and see, his blood is also red. Because they used to think that African blood will be black. That was the kind of ignorance the European students had. In the end, all of them were in tears when the class was over. When they moved to the next standard, they were all in tears. At that point of time, he will receive the appointment order. After seeing these students in tears, he will tear the appointment order and continue. So when the academic year opens, again pandemonium, again another set of students, again the same thing continues. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for those powerful and inspiring words. Your thoughts have truly enriched our minds and kindled a new perspective on the role of educators. It is through you, sir, that we have truly come to understand a good reader is a good leader. We are truly grateful for your thought-provoking recommendations such as Adam's curse, iceberg is melting, leaders eat last, enakuriya idam, and so on, and guiding us towards becoming both better readers and better leaders. Thank you once again, sir.
If you have any questions to be asked, you are welcome. If you want to ask any question or make a statement or interact with me, you may kindly do it.
குட் ஈவினிங் சார். மைசெல்ஃப் மணிமுத்து. உங்களோட புக்கில் வந்துட்டு 7வது அறிவுன்னு ஒரு புக்கில் வந்துட்டு ஒரு சின்ன ஸ்டோரி படிச்சிருந்தேன். என்னோடய லைஃப்பில் வந்துட்டு ஒரு மறக்க முடியாதது ஸ்டில் அதை ஃபாலோ பண்ணணும் அப்படிங்கிறது என்னோட ஒரு வெல் அண்ட் குட் விஷயம். வந்துட்டு கனமில்லாதவர்கள் மட்டுமே பறக்க முடியும். ஐ ஹோப் யூ ரிமெம்பர் அந்த ஸ்டோரி. ஒரு அலுமினியமும் தகரமும் 2 பேரும் சண்டை போட்டுகிட்டே இருப்பாங்க, பக்கத்தில் இடிச்சுட்டே இருக்கிறப்ப அலுமினியத்தை பார்த்து இந்த இரும்பு,
அந்த புக்கு பேர் சின்ன சின்ன மின்னல்கள். ஓகே,
கரெக்ட். பட் அந்த சீரீஸ் வரப்போ மொத்தமாக வந்து நான் பார்த்துட்டு இருந்தேன். நான் அந்த சேம் அந்த சீரீஸில் வந்தது அது எக்ஸாக்ட்லி. நீங்கள் சின்ன சின்ன
கதையை தான் ஞாபகத்தில் வச்சுக்கணும், புக்கை மறந்தாங்க.
கரெக்ட் சார்.
Sometimes you have to forget the author also.
டாக்டர் இரை அன்பு எங்கேயுமே இனிஷியல் கிடையாது. ஸ்டில் ஐ ரிமெம்பர் இனிஷியல் ஆல்சோ. ஸோ அந்த இதில் பார்த்தாங்கன்னா எப்போ பார்த்தாலும் இடி வாங்கிட்டே இருக்கிற அந்த தகரத்தை பார்த்து, அந்த அலுமினியத்தை பார்த்து இரும்பு சிரிக்கும். இந்த மாதிரி என்கிட்ட இடி வாங்கிட்டே இருக்கேன், இவ்வளோ நெரிசல் இருக்கேன்னு சொல்கிறப்ப ஒரு நாள் பக்கத்தில் அந்த அலுமினியத்தை காணோம். திடீர்னு பார்த்தா மேலே வந்துட்டு ஒரு பறந்துக்கிட்டு இருக்கும். அலுமினியம் ஃப்ளைட்டாக மாறி பறந்துக்கிட்டு இருந்தோம். அப்போ வந்து ஒரே ஒரு வேர்டு லாஸ்ட்டில் முடிப்பாங்க, கனமில்லாதவர்கள் மட்டுமே பறக்க முடியும். இட்ஸ் a வெரி குட் ஸ்டோரி அண்ட் இன்ஸ்பைரிங் a lot. இட்ஸ் a wonderful story சார். இன்னொரு இதில் பார்த்தாங்கன்னா ஒரு வில்லேஜுக்கு போயிட்டு ஒரு டீச்சர் வச்சுக்கலாமே, எனக்கு எக்ஸாக்டாக யாரும் தெரியும். டீச்சர் வந்துட்டு எல்லாருக்கும் அட்வைஸ் பண்ணிக்கிட்டு இருக்கிறப்ப வந்துட்டு யார் சொல்கிறதையும் கேட்கணும் அவசியம் கிடையாது, நீங்களே சொல்கிறத வந்துட்டு நீங்களே சுயமாக யோசிச்சு பண்ணுங்க அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு வருவார். கடைசியில் இருக்க அந்த வில்லேஜஸ் அந்த யங்ஸ்டர்ஸ்க்கு எனக்கு டவுட்டு, இவர் சொல்கிறத கேட்கவா வேண்டாமான்னு. அதுக்கு நீங்கள் இப்போ ஆன்சர் சொன்னோம்னா நல்லாயிருக்கும் சார். தேங்க்யூ.
ஒரே ஒரு ஆன்சர் தான். அவர் சொல்கிறத நீங்கள் கேட்கணுங்கிற அவசியம் இல்லை. ஏன்னு கேட்டால் ஒரு சில பேர் சொல்கிறது கேட்டு தான் ஆகணும். சில சர்க்கம்ஸ்டன்ஸு, ஒரு உதாரணத்துக்கு இந்த காலேஜை விட்டு எப்படி இங்கே வெளியே போகணும்னு கேட்டால் நீங்கள் சொல்கிறபடி தான் நான் போய் ஆகணும். அதில் நான் கேட்க முடியாது. எதில் கேட்கணும் எதில் கேட்கக்கூடாதுங்கிறது நாம் டிசைட் பண்ணணும்.
That's what I expect, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Really, these stories and books, it's wonderful and make lot of changes in me also.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Excuse me, sir. You have given us interesting teaching strategies, learning strategies to enable the students towards critical thinking, out-of-box thinking, everything. It's good. But for that, our system of education and the evaluation system needs to be revamped, is it?
I am of the opinion that whatever system is there, still we can make a lot of improvements.
Yeah, sure.
So I am talking about the small improvements that you can make. I am not talking about the drastic change that could be made by the teachers. Within the premises, what kind of things can be done? For example, if a man stands on 2 legs, he cannot lift both the legs. If he is stamping the right leg, then he can raise the left leg. If he is stamping the left leg, he can raise the right leg. So that kind of freedom is available in any system. But within the system, we can make lot of visible differences. There is no such thing called making the students participative, making them to think critically. Nobody is asking you not to be empathetic. Nobody is asking you not to be interesting. Such things can always be made. So that will make a lot of difference.
Sure.
Any other question? Yes, please.
சார், என்னுடைய கல்லூரி காலங்கள்லேருந்தே உங்களுடைய கல்லூரி காலங்களில் gmail.com அந்த மெயிலுக்கு நான் மெயிலெலாம் அனுப்பியிருக்கேன். உங்களோட கம்யூனிகேட் பண்ண நிறைய ட்ரை பண்ணியிருக்கேன். பட் உங்களுடைய அந்த போர்ஷன் வந்து இன்றைக்கி இருக்கிற ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸுக்கு கிடைக்கணும் அப்படின்றது எங்கள் மாதிரி டீச்சர்ஸுடைய ஒரு ஆசை. பட் அந்த ப்ரோக்ராம் வந்து அதோட ஸ்டாப் ஆகிடுச்சு. அதுக்கப்புறம் ஃபர்தராக அது வரல. இப்போ நிறையா இருக்கிற சேனல்ஸில் நிறைய எலக்ட்ரானிக் மீடியா இருக்கிறதுனால நீங்கள் உங்களை மாதிரி ஆட்களுடைய அந்த மாதிரி விஷயங்கள் கிடச்சிச்சு அப்படின்னா இன்றைக்கி இருக்க ஜென்ரேஷனுக்கு இட் வில் பி வெரி யூஸ்ஃபுல் சார். ஒன் மோர் திங், அந்த போர் தொழில் படகுன்ற புத்தகத்தில் ஸ்பார்டகஸ் பற்றி நீங்கள் ஒரு சாப்டர் எழுதியிருப்பீங்க. ஸ்பார்டகஸ் வந்து எவ்வளவோ வீரர்கள் இருந்த போதும், எவ்வளவோ போர் வீரர்கள் இருந்த போதும் ஸ்பார்டகஸை மென்ஷன் பண்ணி, ஸ்பார்டகஸோடைய அந்த எஃபிஷியன்சியை மென்ஷன் பண்ணி எழுதின ஆட்களில் நான் வாசித்த கதைகள் இல்லை. ஆனால் ஸ்பார்டகஸை முத மென்ஷன் பண்ணி எனக்கு பிறந்த குழந்தைக்கு கூட நான் ஸ்பார்டகஸ்ன்னு பேர் வைக்கணும்னுலாம் தாட் இருந்தது. பட் அன்ஃபார்ச்சுனேட்லி பெண் குழந்தையா போயிட்டனால நான் அந்த பேரை வைக்கல. அந்த அளவுக்கு வந்து அந்த ஸ்பார்டகஸ்ன்ற கேரக்டர் வந்து ரொம்ப இன்ஸ்பயர் பண்ணுச்சு. நான் இப்போ என்சிசி ஆஃபீஸராக இருக்கேன். என்னுடைய மாணவர்கள்ட்ட நான் அந்த ஸ்பார்டகஸ் கேரக்டரை பற்றி நான் நிறைய பேசியிருக்கிறேன். பட் அந்த மாதிரியான கேரக்டர்ஸை நிறைய பேர்கிட்ட கொண்டு போய் சேர்க்கணும் அப்படின்னா அவங்கள மாதிரி ஆட்கள் வந்து தொடர்ச்சியாக எலக்ட்ரானிக் மீடியாவில் இயங்கணும் அப்படின்னு நான் ரொம்ப ஆசைப்படுறேன் சார்.
தேங்க்யூ தேங்க்யூ சார். ரொம்ப நன்றி உங்களுடைய வாழ்த்துக்களுக்கு. யாராவது ஒருத்தர் இந்த செஷனை பற்றி ஃபீட்பேக் கொடுக்க முடியுமா? நீங்கள் தான் நோட் பண்ணிக்கிட்டே இருக்கீங்க. ஓ சரி, யாராவது ஒருத்தர் இங்கே வந்து கொடுக்கலாம். You can come here and give the feedback. We can interact continuously. This is not the first and last time. We are going to interact in future also. This is a bedrock for interaction. Yes.
Good evening to everybody. ஒரு டீச்சராக நாங்கள் நிறைய செஷன் அட்டன் பண்ணியிருக்கோம். ஒரு எக்ஸ்பெக்டேஷன் உங்கள்கிட்ட இருந்தது. ஒரு ஐஏஎஸ் ஆஃபீஸர், தமிழ்நாடு செக்ரட்டரி எப்படி இருப்பாங்க, இந்த மாதிரிலாம் இருக்கும். ஒரு நிறைய எக்ஸ்பெக்டேஷன் இருந்தது. மேன் ஆஃப் சிம்பிளிசிட்டி 100% 1000 டைமில் சொல்லலாம். ஸோ நம்ம என்ன வந்திருக்கோம், என்ன சொல்கிறோம், அது எப்படி சொல்கிறோம், எந்த இடத்துலையுமே இந்த ஏஜுக்கு எங்கேயுமே ஃப்ளோ வந்து ஸ்டாப் ஆகலை. ஸோ அதை நீங்கள் சொல்ல வந்த பாயிண்ட்டை நெத்தியில் அடித்த மாதிரி கரெக்டாக சொன்னீங்க. அஸ் எ டீச்சராக நாங்கள் எங்கே லாகிங்காக இருக்கோம், நாங்கள் என்ன பண்ணணும், ஸோ எப்படி நாங்கள் இப்போ அணுகுமுறையில் இருக்கோம், இப்போ வேர்ல்டு எப்படி இருக்குது, மேடம் கேட்டப்போ எவாலுவேஷன் சிஸ்டமில் மாற்றலாமா, அதுக்கு நீங்கள் சொன்னீங்க நம்மளால் சின்ன விஷயம் பண்ணாலே பெட்டர்மெண்ட்டாக இருக்கும். ஸோ பெரிய அளவுக்கு யோசிக்காட்டாலும் நம்மளால் நம்ம கையில் இருக்கக்கூடிய ஃப்ரீடமை வச்சு எந்த அளவுக்கு மோட்டிவேட் பண்ணால் அது பெரிய மலைவோடு சாதிக்க முடியும் அப்படின்றத தெளிவாக சொன்னீங்க. தேங்க்யூ சார், தேங்க்யூ.
To formally conclude this enriching session, I would like to request Dr. S. Femina, Head Department of English, to propose the vote of thanks, extending our gratitude to everyone who made today's event possible.
Congratulations to all the faculty members. The institution is proud of you for making it to A plus category. The assessment done by NAC. Continue to maintain it and keep the prospects of improving it further. Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, just one word only. I won't take. This is his speed. Thank you. This is happening. This video just got ready overnight. In fact, credit right from your class, helping staff, everybody has been included. It's a Balamurugan used to say it's a teamwork. And Vice Chancellor, who is in the advisory board, Mr. Thiruvasagam, has congratulated in the website group, saying that it's an exemplary achievement. And so I think A++ is the next goalpost. We are indeed pleasure. We have great pleasure having Mr. Irai, my friend, in this forum, because this is going to be, he'll be here. I have requested him and he has also agreed to come to this campus as often as possible. At least ஒரு மாசத்துக்கு ஒரு தடவையாவது நம்ம இங்க என்ன சார் காலேஜ்ல ஜாயின் பண்ணிட்டீங்களா நீங்க கேட்குற அளவுக்கு வந்துடக்கூடாது. ஆனாலும் அவர் நம்ம கூட இருப்பார். He'll be having a lot of sessions, interactive sessions. All this is just a beginning. So reserve all your questions, all your interactions. You can find him in our campus during the next 1 or 2 years as often as possible to guide us, and maybe the A+ is just a beginning. So you're the singular, star rating A++, எல்லாம் வந்து இன்னும் வருவதற்கு கண்டிப்பாக நம்ம எல்லாரும் சேர்ந்து வாழ்த்துவோம், வணங்குவோம். Thank you, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Murli sir, for making the video presentation featuring the photos of the teaching, non-teaching faculty and supporting staff who have served the institution in the past 25 years. Thank you, sir, for your efforts.
Good evening. On behalf of the management, principal and faculty of Sri Kaliswari College, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed guest, Dr. Irai Anbu, IAS former Chief Secretary, Government of Tamil Nadu, for his inspiring and insightful session today. We are truly honored to have had the privilege of listening to a respected bureaucrat, a celebrated writer, an engaging speaker, and an influential media personality. Indeed, sir, you are widely recognized for your expertise in administration and public speaking. Your insightful speeches on personal growth, leadership quality, time management, and spirituality have inspired countless individuals, especially students, to achieve excellence and lead meaningful lives. Today's session was a reflection of your vast experience and deep knowledge. You have skillfully connected administrative wisdom with the essence of personal development, giving us valuable lessons that will surely inspire our academic and personal journeys. Your passion for teaching and guiding others has undoubtedly inspired us, sir. Of course, I was taking notes all through, and sir has also noticed it. And as Bacon says, some books ought to be tasted, some to be swallowed, but some has to be digested, chewed and digested. So of course we have to ruminate whatever sir has stated, and he has illustrated what a teacher is, how we have to improve our teaching methods, how we have to be a student-centric teacher, and everything. Whatever he has stated, actually he has given, he is living as an example. And when we went through your website, we wonder, sir, how one could keep on learning, and teacher should be a lifelong learner. And we have taken this leaf of from your insights. We also, all of us, and assure that we'll keep on learning, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your wonderful words. Thank you for being with us. So I would like to thank him for taking his time out of his busy schedule to share his insights. Your presence and words have made a lasting impact, and we are deeply appreciative of your commitment to education and empowerment, sir. Thank you once again, sir. I would like to thank our magnanimous Secretary, Shri A.P. Selvarajan, sir, for his efforts in organizing such enriching faculty development programs by inviting erudite and inspiring speakers. I would also like to extend my heartfelt thanks to our principal, Dr. P.K. Balamurugan sir, for his unwavering support in organizing this program. I would like to thank our former principal, Dr. Krishnamurthy sir, for being with us. Thank you, sir. I would like to thank Mr. Murali sir, our honorary consultant of our institution, for being instrumental in organizing quality programs for both the students and the teachers. Thank you, sir. I would like to thank all the teachers for your enthusiastic participation and making this event a memorable one. Once again, thank you, sir, for gracing us with your presence. We hope to have the privilege of welcoming you again in the future. Thank you. Thank you all.
Every successful event is the result of collective effort. Thank you for all your dedication and support. There is a note. Teachers are requested to gather in front of the library for a photo with our chief guest, and tea will be served afterwards. Let's stand for the national anthem.